Mr. Shaw.
Indeed, here we are, talking about the future of colorists and indeed the future of CSI and all things great. So let's introduce Bobola first of all. Bobola, would like to say a little bit about yourself and also a little bit about the amazing work you've been doing on social media for Colorist Society. You're muted, but
okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right. Hi, everyone. I am Bobola, colorist. I used to work from Lagos. Now I'm in the States. I used to work from Lagos, Nigeria. Now I'm in the United States. I'm in Missouri. I've been a colorist for 9.5 years. I call myself the accidental colorist. I was a creative director in advertising agency before I became more hands-on in post-production and then focused fully on being a colorist. For Colorist Society, I took over managing the social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, over a year and a half ago or thereabout. And I was persuaded that the work we do, because of the colors that we bring to pictures, to films, to music videos, to commercials, I was persuaded that the world needs to see the work we do, and they need to see it and recognize that there are people whose job is to bring this to life, to bring these emotions, to bring this beauty to the screens. And that was why I took on the challenge of managing the social media platforms and then celebrating the works of colorists from all over the world, from Mumbai to California to Egypt to South Africa to every corner, to Ukraine to Russia. Every corner of the world, there are colorists doing beautiful work, and most of us don't get to see them, or even the public do not get to know about them. And then celebrating those works by sharing them on the social media platform has grown the platform over this period over 100%, from 7,000 followers on Instagram to 70-something thousand, from 700 followers on Instagram to something thousand followers. So for me, it's great. And then we are now seeing a whole lot of colorist awards be won by Film Lights. We are seeing so many other platforms trying to celebrate what colorists do, and for me, it's an exciting period.
And Bob, I often get asked by people, how do they get their work showcased? So how does that work with you?
Okay, so many people have asked via direct message, how to get your work showcased, and I keep telling them it's simple. Society, we get to see it, we get to select the best per day. We can't post everybody's work every day, but we get to select the best per day and then we post. But just keep sharing on your own page. Tag the people who made the work possible, the directors, the DPs, the art directors. Tag as much people as possible so that we get to know the entire team that brought this beauty to the screen.
Indeed. And Lynette, I thought this might be a good opportunity for you to talk a little bit about Colorist Society Hollywood, because that's somewhat of a unique chapter within the society, isn't it?
Right. So the directive, I think, when I came on board from the Colorist Society International was to try and organize a local chapter, as in the Colorist Society International was organizing local chapters throughout the world, and to try and bring a community a little bit closer together. So you have the Colorist Society International, but having local chapters allows for fellowship and for education and for advocating for our craft on a more local level, where we can get together and be able to meet and to share ideas. And one of the biggest things is advocating for our craft in regard to IMDb, because we're maybe a little bit closer to that than perhaps people from other chapters. Being able to partner with organizations like AMPUS and being a part of their adoption of ACEs in our community. So what we've done is we've put together an organization which has a number of officers, and have started to invite colorists in our area who are, at the top of their craft, at the top level of what it is that we do, because we felt that they would be helpful in helping us to advocate for some of the things that we're looking to do, which is advocating for more recognition for, what we bring to the table in the storytelling, in the filmmaking world, and being able to partner with other stakeholders, like the ASC, like the ACE, like the Academy, and for us to be able to support those other organizations, and to see if they can help us advocate for what it is that we're looking to do. So we're in the very, very beginning stages of that, and we've invited a number of really, really talented colorists and color scientists. And we have, a list of many others that we'll be talking to in the very, very near future. But that's kind of what it is. And also, I think is something that you and I talked about, Kevin, and that's about inclusion and about making it, advocating for people who are not usually represented, women and people of color, and being able to help them get into this business and be the future. And talk about future in colorist is being inclusive and bringing together the talents of all people. And if you're talented and you're able to do this, to be able to be recognized for what you bring to the table.
Yeah, it's very much two parts of it, isn't it? There's the recognition on the one side for those that have been doing it for a while and who contribute a lot to these projects that we've been discussing. And then the other side of it is setting an example and sort of paving a way for newcomers coming into the industry, and as you say, making it easier for us to be more inclusive as a profession. And I think there was quite the talk at NAB was quite successful, wasn't it? That was Walter and Lou, John was there.
Right, and that's the fun part about this, is that we get to bring this very, very diverse group of people together. You have Lou Levinson, who was the pioneer in color, from the very, very early days of telecine, working with, Steven Spielberg and the like on a lot of iconic films, and him being able to talk about the history of what color correction was. And then to have John Darrow, who is from Warner Brothers, who's able to talk about what is the future. What is it when we have virtual backgrounds that we're doing and working with, all of the different kinds of new technologies that we're employing, because we're not just artists, we are very, very robust technical people as well, and being able to speak to that. And then also, of course, Walter, the ever vivacious presence, who's able to talk about all the amazing work that he does and the variety of different projects that he gets to do. And so that was a great opportunity, and I'm sorry I wasn't in Vegas to see that, but they did have a panel there, and that was kind of a kickoff for the Color Society Hollywood, and we've got a lot of other things coming up and planned.
I think that's really exciting. And the other thing I wanted to mention just briefly about the Color Society is that we have rebranded literally in the last couple of weeks. And so we're dropping the international from Colorist Society so that we can focus more on the local chapters. And we're looking to build those up. And if there are people listening in parts of the world that don't have a local chapter yet, you know, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to help you put that together, because by building this community, this international community, we can help each other. Because if we want to make changes, if we want to help other bodies, cinematographers, and so on, then we need to be working together. It's much easier to do this with resources behind us.
Well, that's the thing, and that's the biggest part. And sometimes people kind of get confused, the fact that we're looking for greater recognition, meaning that maybe our credits wouldn't be down with craft services at the end of a feature. It's not about trying to take away the thunder from anybody else, but it's about being supportive and being in a mutually beneficial relationship with other stakeholders. And that's a big part of it, I think.
Absolutely, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. You know, in my work now, I'm kind of more involved with onset and DITs, and just putting the finishing colorist and the DIT together. The cinematographer is involved all the way through the process, and just being able to smooth the way so that they can have a discussion at the beginning, during, and at the end of the project. It's so fruitful. I mean, it just, when everybody's working together, it's just so much better. So we like that.
Right. Well, collaboration, it's everything, collaboration and communication, because for a lot of us who have been doing this for a long time, where you go and you're at the afterthought and all the other stuff has happened before you get to the project, and you didn't have input at the beginning, and having the input of the finishing artist being part of it from the beginning, having that dialogue with the DIT and with other people in the pipeline is just, it's a huge thing. The project is better, the product is better when we all collaborate and communicate, and being able to do that.
Absolutely.
You know,
I'd say
advocate for
just
that.
time. What do you tell people that are trying to either get into coloring, or who want to cross train, or who just want to be an assistant? You know, in the old days, we always had assistants. I think in America, you do have more assistants than we do here in Europe, for example. Mark just mentioned he took on an assistant for the first time. What do you recommend to people that want to up their game a little bit?
Well, I mean, I still think for us in Hollywood on a lot of these projects, it depends on what kind of project you want to work on. That would be one thing. I mean, if you're doing feature films, if you're doing commercials, if you're doing music videos, the pipeline is a little bit different. And if you're in a small place, you're able to most likely be able to cross-train and work with a colorist on a very, maybe more a personal basis, where you are able to watch what they're doing and to be mentored. Being mentored is really the biggest part of this, and putting yourself in a position where you can be mentored by somebody who's been doing this for a while. Because you can take every tutorial in the world you want, but when you work in the real world and see how it works in a room, how do you communicate with the client? How do you manage expectations for the project? How do you use the control surface in a way that is more advantageous to you working quicker, or for you to be able to achieve a look in, you know, quickly, or to be able to achieve the look at all. All of these things really help when you're able to be mentored in a room with somebody who is generous with their time. And that is what I would suggest somebody. Certainly you have to be able to understand file management. You want to be a good assistant to somebody, but you want to put yourself in a situation where you can have an interactive kind of situation. And this is something that Dado and I talked about a lot during pandemic. And he was concerned about, is that not being able to be in the room with somebody is a disadvantage. And we found is just like worrying about how does the next generation or the next person coming up the ladder, how is it that they're going to be able to get the skill set that they need to really achieve great things? And it's really hard when you are not in the room with the person. Now, you know, it's not always going to be possible, and our world has changed. You know, we work virtually quite a lot. I do too. Sometimes my assistant's in Hollywood and I'm in Playa del Rey, and vice versa, or
And
we're in the same room together.
that increase in remote working, and that seems to be becoming more and more of a thing. That's definitely going to make it more difficult to have to do mentoring and to help people in that way.
It does. Hopefully that will change a little bit, but you know, we just have to do what we have to do and hopefully be able to forge these relationships, whether they're virtual or whether they're in person. But when you ask, what do I suggest, is to find somebody, if it's possible, to help mentor you and help you understand, you know, what it is you need to do.
There are very limited places though for mentoring, aren't they? I mean, that's the thing. It's usually within a company rather than with the more freelance crowd.
Yeah, and that's why I think that these mixers are really so excellent. And some of the in-person mixers that were happening before COVID that I hope will be happening again, and that we'll be having more of our vendors with their presentations, because those have been really, really great places to see people and to connect. And I was at a Baselight event, I think it was probably just before COVID, and I saw all these colorists and their assistants and their color scientists, and it was just this great connection. And then when you're able to reach out to a person and say, hey, do you mind if I give you a quick call, or, you know, send you an email and ask you a question, or that was such an amazing project you worked on, you know, what was your favorite thing about it? I mean, all of these bits that can help somebody from being an island. And that's the whole sad part about a lot of this is, you know, it's really hard to learn when you're an island, and you can, but knowing the nuances of how everything works, it really helps to have a person there to help you with that.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, colorists that are working in the smaller countries, smaller in terms of industry presence, they have that problem. You know, countries where there's maybe only 4 or 5 colorists in the country. Some of them travel. That's really a good way to work with more experienced colorists. But absolutely, I think the mixes have been great as a way of bringing people together, and the forums are great as a way of bringing people together. So it'd be good to see more of that.
I have to say, I'm really impressed, Bobola, that what's been done on the Instagram account for Color Society, and being able to be exposed to some of this work that I would never see because of where I am in the world, and to see a lot of colorists in Africa and in Asia who are, like, in a sense, an island, and the work that they have done that is so impressive and fantastic, and being able to share that and have other people see that would never have a chance to see that. Yeah,
you're really right. For me, that was one of the reasons why I felt Colorist Society could be the platform to shine the light to the different colorists everywhere in the world. And like Kevin said, for someone like me or colorist coming from a society or an industry where there are not many colorists, trying to get mentors who will train you in such a way that you understand the entire process, you understand, and like you said, being in the room with a proper colorist to show you how to deal with clients, how to manage clients, how to use the surface. That was one of the reasons why I decided to come to the United States, hopefully to find a mentor where I can be able to learn these things in the proper environment, because I am from an industry that is massive in terms of the amount of film produced every year. Is the third or is the second largest industry in terms of quantity of film produced, but the quality of picture is poor, because I can count the colorists on my fingers. I've done some of the biggest works that have come out of the industry. I've done like 4 of the most grossed Nollywood films ever, and I can't say that my work is fantastic. It's just what I've been able to learn from people. And I'm looking for opportunities, like you said, of mentorship, where you're able to sit in the room, learn from professionals. And like I said, Colorist Society is that platform that allows us to be able to show to the world what is happening everywhere else, in other industries, in Africa, in India, in Asia. There are colorists in China who share their works, but they can't even put the name of the works. They can't put the name of the directors, because they don't even have social media in their country, but they have works that they've done. So those are the possibilities that I felt the society had, and that was why I took on the challenge. Because, like I said, I've worked in an advertising agency for years. I've done these for brands. It was no brainer for me to manage social media platforms, so I could do it with my time while still working.
It is really nice to be introduced to the colorists and the looks, and to know that I think there's a tendency sometimes for people, perhaps people outside of the industry, to think that everything comes out of Hollywood, or that Hollywood, New York, and London are the kind of like the 90% of the market. But you've really shown that there's a lot of talent and a lot of great opportunities in the rest of the world as well.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll get more chapters going. There are already chapters in Australia, in Argentina, there's the Hollywood chapter, of course.
Yeah.
There's the makings of a chapter in New York, although they're really, really busy there. And we're talking to France and Italy, Holland. So there is, and like I say, we're always interested to hear more. If anybody's interested in setting up a chapter, often it's people that already have a group together. They just probably need a little bit of help to get a web presence and to organize meetings and things. Then probably the easiest way to do it is just to send a message to admin. So I'm just going to put the email address in the chat. And the other thing I wanted to say is, I know a lot of people have been waiting for admissions to go through, and I apologize that those are taking a while to process. Please make sure that when you submit your application, that you have 2 references, either from existing Colorist Society members, or 2 references, and you need to get the references and scan them and send them with your application. Otherwise, we have to go chasing, and that's what takes time. But what we have done to try and relieve the bottleneck, as it were, is the local chapters have the ability to fast track applications through. So if you go, for example, to the Australian New Zealand chapter, and 2 of the chapter officers are ready to support you, then the application goes straight through. Okay, so you can go to the local chapter and do it, because the thinking is that the local chapter will know exactly who in that region meets our standards, meets our standards, and those standards are 3 years full-time professional colorist work. Okay, so so if you put an application in and it says cinematographer, you're unlikely to get through the application process, because you have to be a full-time colorist to be a member of the society. Okay.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for the update. We get a lot of questions. Just good to put a bit of clarity behind it, and it's good what you're doing with the Hollywood chapter. And I just put a note in there for what we're doing in Australia with the chapter, the first ever get together. So it's good. I believe this session has been sponsored by Low Post and Ravengrade together, and big thanks to them for helping us put this show on. It doesn't happen miraculously, you know. There's a lot of things to tip to get it on, and Mr. Cullen Kelly is back in the house.
I'm back. I feel like I should have like put on a fake mustache or changed costume or something.
You still can. You still can. Go and
That's
put
right.
one on.
I'll be
I'm
right
sure
back.
You've got one. Yes, I'm sure you've got one right there.
Yeah. Sometimes feel like I should. Hi guys, glad to be back with y'all. If anybody didn't catch me earlier, I'm Cullen Kelly. I'm a senior colorist. I'm an image scientist, and I'm going to give you a quick demo, in capacity as an expert witness of this Ravengrade tool. So let me get my screen share on here and show you what this tool or these tools are kind of all about. So I'm going super fast here, but you can learn lots more about Ravengrade at ravengrade.com if you want to get some more detail on the tools. What I've got here right now is a template node graph pulled in from the Mira power grades that are a part of the Ravengrade offerings here. I've got this template node graph here, and as you can see at the very tail, I've got this node labeled Zephyr. This is the Cinelook tool at the very tail that is providing my technical transform to Rec 709 from Area Log C. And it's also imparting a creative look, which I've selected from my main look dropdown down here. Now, as you can see, a bunch of different sliders here. I'm going to touch on a few of those in just a moment. But the main functions down here in terms of looks are that you can select from this big long list of different looks in the menuing here that have been designed by a number of really exceptional artists from all over the globe. And once you've got one selected here, you can also select a sub look, for example, this Onyx one. And if I enable my sub look, I can then hit my mix look slider, and I'm just creating interaction between the main look and the sub look. So a really fun, versatile way to spin up a custom look for yourself at the tail of your node graph, as I'm doing with the Cinelook 709 version of the tool here. And lots of different sliders down here that, as I said, I'm going to return to a moment ago. Another thing I want to show you that's part of this package, this master tone tool that I developed. This tool was kind of inspired by the color correct node in Nuke, where you have lift, gamma, and gain for your low, mid, and high regions of your image. And because I'm a curves guy, I'll preview this on a curve. And you can get a sense for example, what a low lift combined with a drop in a low gamma and like a high gamma and a drop in high gain, you know, the kind of like curve sculpture that I could do just with these sort of zoned lift, gamma, and gain adjustments. So really fun tool here that's just sort of another way of allowing you to tailor your image either at a local level or on sort of a global level that you can drop right into one of these existing Mira power grade node trees if you want to. And then the last thing I'll show you guys, just to return to this Cinelook plugin, you can use it not only at the tail of your stack, not only as a means of imparting a creative look, but you can use it simply for all these nifty sliders that we built into the tool here. So if I go to a shot with a bit more color variation within it, and let's say I want to do a separate instance of the Cinelook tool with no look, you can see I've now disabled the look, and I'm now just going to be getting whatever I do with my sliders here. One of my favorite sets of functionality here within the Cinelook tool is these density sliders. So you can see I can increase the density of my red channel or decrease it. Same with my green, same with my blue. Interesting way to create texture, also an interesting way to kind of weight various colors in my image in perhaps a more filmic way, if that's what I want to do, or I can use it to create texture and skin tones. Lots of different applications there, but point being, you can use this Cinelook tool not only as a sort of end of stack way of deploying a look, but actually as just a means of implementing adjustments to your image that you don't have readily available to you right within Resolve. So hope you guys, if you haven't already checked out Ravengrade, definitely go and do so. It's turned into a really robust set of tools for applying creative looks and grades to your images.
How much and what software can it be implemented in, Cullen?
So currently it's a Resolve only solution that you can load into any recent version of Resolve. Pricing, best way to check that out is on ravengrade.com. There are different configurations of these different tools and different price points that you can access, I believe. But that's kind of the main ones that are on offer is the Cinelook tool. It comes in several forms. So there's an ACES and an RCM version as well. And then that master tone tool I demoed a moment ago. And of course, the ability to use Cinelook either with these looks down here at the bottom or on its own, just for all the nifty sliders that are adjusting the image upstream of that look.
Fantastic. Thanks, buddy. It's cool.
You're very welcome.
I like it. I've not seen it before. I'm all ears.
Yeah, it's fun stuff.
Yeah, fun stuff. That's what we want. It's fun, isn't it? That's what's great about
and
it.
new ways to
color.
New ways to manipulate the image, man. New tools lead to different results. There's different music and different musical instruments.
I'll ask, do you find yourself using this on like 80-90% of your work now?
You know, I'll be honest with you. I mix up my palette a lot, and just to be totally candid, you know, I helped develop this tool, so it's got a lot of my sort of creative
That's why I asked
in there. I also am a perpetual tinkerer, and I'm always building new stuff. So I'm driving hot rods more than street legal vehicles. I'll put it that way. Which is
you and Joey Deanna.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, like, so, but you would say like 3/4 of the work, you know, you're going to it because you really know it and you really love, and it's doing what you needed to do to help put in your secret sauce.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a bunch of stuff that I wish already were like default color corrector tools that don't tend to be. So I think it's a bunch of really useful, really smart stuff that can help you get cooler, creative results for your images.
Well, if you're doing it, I expect it to be really smart.
Oh,
so.
thanks, buddy.